Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble from Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
How you doing, Chris? You're in a hotel room, I hear.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know if I sound any different. I'm on my my new little digital recorder. I've been using it all day to record sessions at ESC, and now I'm talking to you and recording on this thing in a hotel room in Boston.
Fantastic. I love technology.
Me
But
too.
you're paying for that crappy internet access, aren't you?
Yeah, I let's get right into the rants here.
All right.
I cannot believe let's just say this is northwards of $200 by quite a bit. We'll just put it there, just to be nice to Boston hotels. They're ridiculous, but
Right.
so up into the many hundreds of dollars to stay here, basically to sleep somewhere, not on the street, and I have to pay an extra $10 then to get on the internet. I mean, I can go down to the lobby, but when I want to, surf the internet in my boxers, I
Yep.
have to pay $10. Apparently, that is a privilege that I have to pay for. So I'm doing that right now in order to talk to you, Dave.
I hope you're not just in your boxes. Let's.
I am fully clothed right now. There are no problems with that, but it's ridiculous. I just can't believe it's 2010 and they're still charging this much.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've been to some places where it's completely free. In some countries, it's great. But yeah, I've been to the US quite a few times, and yep, they charge you extra for the generally not all hotels, but all the big business ones.
Yeah,
that specialize
exactly.
in business. Yeah, accommodation. They all.
It's anything
Because
business, really.
they know that your company's paying for it, and they'll just, you just chuck everything on the room bill. You chuck
Exactly.
the breakfast, lunch and dinner, internet, the mini bar, the porn movies, everything onto the.
I don't know if that one happens, but okay.
Yeah, you put all these things on the room bill, and they know they just pay
Exactly.
it happily. So
Yep.
it's just gouging. It's
Yeah,
just,
it's like
they just
inflation
know.
on other things too. I mean, you think about like even buying a multimeter. I mean, you review $100 multimeters, right? But
Yep.
most people in industry aren't buying those things because they can get slightly better performance for lots of money. I mean, like because companies will pay it, and it's like.
That's right.
But I mean, you get a lot of other stuff with it too. But like the price differential for someone that's paying for it themselves versus someone that's paying for industry stuff, it's usually pretty extreme.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. We didn't have that on the list of rants, but that is a good point.
I know.
Certainly, I had somebody tweet me the other last night saying, "Where can I buy the Fluke 87 in Australia?" And it's like $750 here.
Oh, wow.
Whereas in the US it's like 300. 300 US, which is almost equivalent to 300 Australian here now. Let's
Yeah.
say about 350. So, yeah, it's almost like it's double
Right.
the cost here, but companies will pay it.
Right.
It's easy. But if you're buying one yourself, if you're a hobbyist in Australia, you're not going to spend, $700 for a Fluke 87 in Australia.
Right.
That's
Right.
some well-heeled ones might, but yeah, you're going to buy a $200 one or something like that. So
Right. Well, I think
for
a better example though, Mike. Because that's still low. But I mean, you think about like the Rigol that you have a lot of. I mean, you get a lot of search hits for Rigol and stuff.
oh
But-
yeah, I'm
but
number one or something.
Yeah, I mean, and you compare that even to, those things get rebranded as Agilent scopes, and like the price differential there even is ridiculous, and it's because
Exactly.
you're paying for name or something like that. So it gets insane pretty quick, and it's not just test equipment either. I mean, it's there's tons of stuff out there like that. I mean, there's
Yeah.
hotels, there's any kind of business expense really. I mean, rental cars. Who pays rental car? I mean, like you think about renting cars, and you're going to pay a lot more than you would pay for some little Kia Sportage if they ever rented those kind of things,
Exactly. So yeah, if you're on a business trip, you always get the upgraded car. You always get the the second top one or something like that. And yeah, you just wouldn't buy that if you're forking out your own dough for it. Generally,
Right.
Yeah, you're just going to get the cheapest, crappiest thing that'll get you from A to B. Pretty
Exactly.
Much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, like the price. I mean, the price differential just for that kind of stuff. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm a cheapskate, like big time. To the
I'm
point,
pretty tight ass too. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you think like, and like to the point where it almost hinders me. And so when, when there's I mean, that's for a lot of people too. So when there's situations where other people are, have the opportunity to pay with someone else's dollar, they're going to, and it's just reality, I guess. I don't know if companies take advantage or what's the deal, but I mean, at least on the other side, we know for at least internet, they are gouging $10. Come on,
I know it's ridiculous. Come on, who's the hotel? Name and shame.
Oh, it's the Sheraton. Sorry, Sheraton. You failed me.
Sheraton. There you go.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah.
I've stayed in plenty of them. The Hiltons and all sorts of ones. Yeah, all charged for bloody internet.
Right. Well, someone's got...
And it's usually pretty shitty too. It's like they make you go through some gateway thing and there's like, I can't access my home web mail that's on my server via a hotel. A hotel connection. It's crazy. They've got some, I don't know, some sort of filter thing there, and it doesn't let you do things like that. I can access Gmail, but I can't access my web-based mail, which is just nuts.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
I'm really surprised. I'm on a LAN connection right now, which is even crazier to me. It's like, seriously, you guys are LAN still? Like, come on, bone up for a wireless router here. They're like $30. You know, you could put one of those in every room.
True. And there's no requirements for infrastructure and stuff like that. You can have one or two cells on each level or something, and it just
Well, I mean, right now it's like, oh, you're paying $10, Chris. Sorry, you can't browse the web on your bed. You have to be sitting at your desk because the cord won't reach. This is 1995, apparently.
Well, you have to go fully equipped with your own wireless. That's pretty much the deal.
Probably the next step.
You've got to have your iPhone or whatever. So
yeah, maybe someday.
That's the thing. Who uses these archaic LAN connections anymore? Everyone's got
Suckers like me.
an iPad, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, iPhone or
even
an iPad.
Even like one of those phones where you can like tether them, where you're using a GSM if you really need to,
And
so speaking of GSM, let's hear a little bit about your tinfoil hat, Dave.
Yes, my tinfoil hat. If you missed it, my latest blog about the GSM phone versus the Fluke 87 multimeter, which is up. If you haven't seen it, yes, I put on the tinfoil hat, but you've got to find it. It's not. You've got to find it in the video. That is your challenge. You can see it as the thumbnail, as the image. But
it is hard to find. I will say, I watched the entire thing and I was like, where? I missed it. I don't even know where it is. So you do have to look for it. But it's it was good too. I was interested to see that those things really cranked out so much power that they really hurt the Fluke.
Well, that's the thing. It's one of these bizarre coincidences, there just happens to be, I'm just guessing here, but there's a track and a combination of components in there that are just the right wavelength to be susceptible to that particular GSM frequency and burst and energy level, and then have an effect on the LCD and the firmware. And the firmware aspect to it, the actual firmware programming, that can shut it down. So it's just one of those really bizarre coincidences, Fluke, it's definitely a serious problem, and Fluke are looking into it.
You got a response from them?
Yes, I did, and they're going to replace my forum viewers meter. So they've said they'll do that.
All right, well, good for them. That's great.
Yeah, but let's see what their response is. They might go, oh, well, who's going to put their mobile phone right next to it? Well, I hope they don't do that, because a lot of people do. I've seen it very often. You've got your multimeter on the bench and you've got your phone sitting right next to it on your bench.
Well,
that's a very common thing to do.
From a problem perspective, seeing this on the other side is like from the business perspective, sometimes you really want to say that. You want to just be like, all right, so your problem is you're creating this condition. Why don't you just change the condition?
That's right.
And understandably, I would want to say that every time, because it is common sense. But at the same time, there's going to be a situation at some point in the future where, as a business, they need to watch out for, there's an unavoidable, they're getting installed in some mobile application where they're, installing a 87 and then they're transmitting over GSM. Someone does that. And what are you going to do then? And it's like, oh, well, you should use CDMA, or you should not use a cell phone. It's like, well, at that point, they're really screwed. So...
Well, it's crazy. Well, at the moment, I'm working on a GSM mobile, well, not a mobile phone, but I'm working on a GSM design on my desk. What am I supposed to do? Not use my Fluke 87?
Right.
Not put it near it? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Especially when, as I showed in the video, other meters, even the cheap ones, aren't susceptible to it.
Right.
And I can understand if it's some, but, the other meters, the other brands might be susceptible to some other frequency, but it's not the GSM mobile phone, which is the most common device on the planet.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, it's more ubiquitous than the humble home computer. I think there's more mobile phones than there are computers, or I don't know, something like that. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's like everyone who doesn't have a mobile phone, right?
Yeah.
Everyone in even third world countries has a mobile phone now. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
So for it to be susceptible to that, that is particularly bad. So yeah, Fluke really need to really need to fix it. I don't see any other way out of this. I don't think that they can just say I think it's unacceptable for them to just say, well, it's it meets all the specs and the requirements for some EMC requirement or whatever, and just don't put your mobile phone near it. This is the industry standard multimeter. Basically, it has been for 20 years, and people trust and rely on this meter, and that's a big thing. And for it to be susceptible to the world's most common gadget is, quite frankly, unacceptable. So
we're susceptible to this thing called water, and we don't like it. So be sure not to use that around our product.
Well, my laptop is susceptible to water, as everyone knows, on my first live show.
Pour it on
I'm using my sippy bottle here today.
Yeah, that's good.
Again.
That's good.
So anyway, I actually took apart the Fluke 87 on my live show, which I haven't uploaded yet. I haven't edited that.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it.
But yeah, I actually took that apart, and there's a CD4069 chip in there, the old CMOS hex inverter chip, and that is on the left-hand side of that's the only circuitry on the left-hand side, which is right at the susceptible point. So I suspect it's highly likely to be something around that CD4069 hex inverter.
So you're gonna build them for your
I haven't seen
for
the
your hours
circuits.
now. You're gonna
call
them up and be like, "Hey, fixed your problem. Give me some money."
Oh, right. Okay, I can consult and...
right.
Right. As I did with the X-Tech thing, I solved it for them in the video.
Very nice.
It turned out to be the exact same problem I drew the schematic of, and sure enough, that was it, and
Well, speaking of video shows such as yours, did you get a chance to watch any of the new Ben Heck show?
I just did then before, because you sent me the link a couple of days ago, and I went to it, and it's the silly Element 14 site again. It's all over the shop. It's a mess. We've talked about that before, and for the life of me, I could not find the video of his new show. And it turns out it's hidden sort of in the bar up the top. I don't know whether or not it just wasn't there when I looked the other day, but it's really they don't make it as obvious as they should.
However they're going to sell it, I mean, who cares? But the show, I mean, I think the show itself, I thought was pretty cool. Did you actually watch it?
It has very high production values. I can, as a guy who does a video or two every week, I can assure you a lot of effort.
Right, you don't want to do that stuff yourself, right? That's almost a full-time effort.
Yeah, well, that's a full-time effort actually producing videos like that. But he is a filmmaker, as we said in the last thing. He's made films and stuff like that. So he has multiple cameras, and the lighting is perfect and everything, and the sound is perfect.
I thought it was very impressive. But
really high production.
Actually, when we mentioned that about the Make podcast a couple weeks back, I actually got a tweet back from Colin Cunningham who did it, and he said he did all his own production too. So. I don't know, Dave. Maybe you got to step up your game with the old video, huh? You gotta go geek out and get some.
But these people do it as full-time jobs. So
true.
That's God. If I had 8 hours a day to work on my videos, I'd be punching out a video or two every day, and they'd be much higher production values. I'm getting closer towards my goal.
Oh, good. Well, we look forward to that day.
Of being able to live off. Just making a 10-minute video each week.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Did you see that link I posted about the Wired show too?
Yes, the Wired show. I had a look at that. It's typical. It's good because the content's quite decent. The hosts, they come and they walk towards the camera and do the usual in the wanky studio and all that sort of stuff. I didn't like that aspect of it.
I like the segments. I mean, like the Chris Anderson thing about the do-it-yourself drones. I mean, I follow Chris and I go to that site sometimes about the do-it. I mean, that stuff's just getting crazy. I mean, I bet we're gonna start seeing restrictions on that kind of stuff. I don't know about in Australia, but I bet we'll start seeing restrictions on like even including them in like no-fly zone kind of things, just because. You think about security risks. They will want
licenses and everything. They'll try and watch the US government crack down on that once one geek does something stupid and flies into some restricted zone.
Yeah, exactly.
By accident or by purpose, flies over NORAD or something like that. It's Yep.
Yeah.
It's all gone once that happens.
Yeah, I've been looking at that stuff because it's really interesting, and I know that they're starting to, or I guess they already do sell kits for like a quadcopter with an Arduino built into it. Like they're like getting ready to sell like $300 or $400. You can get the whole thing and just put it together yourself, and then you're ready to just start programming that thing.
And they'll probably sell thousands of those. So
I'd love to buy one. I think that'd be so cool. I mean, like, I've already thought about like projects where I'd like chase my dogs around with those things, or like program like like you could keep animals entertained. I don't know if anyone's going to do this. They probably already have, but like I was thinking like you could install or you could put something on their collar so it always knows where they are, and then keep like 5 feet away from them and taunt them, and then just like tire them out, and like you could like tie a hot dog to it, and like I was telling my girlfriend about this, and it was like that would be brilliant. Like that you could sell that even. I mean, like you could have like basically doggy sitters, like I love my dogs. And I love spending time with them, but sometimes I just want them to be tired and get their exercise without me having to do it too.
I guess it's the modern version of the old carrot on the stick, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They just tie a carrot on their to a stick on their back, and they'll just or a sausage, and they'll just chase it around all day. And
we'll have reached the Jetsons' future where it wasn't Astro the dog, wasn't he like on a treadmill like chasing something in the intro to that?
I think so. Yeah, I can remember him on a treadmill doing something. Yeah. But yeah, those quadcopters, they're just amazing. I saw the video. Sent through of one of those, like going through hoops, and they throw the hoop up in the air, and then it flies through the hoop in real time.
Yeah. It's
and
like,
the
how
movements
do
it
they do
can
that?
do.
I know. And it's like scary
it's
too.
Software.
It's scary. I mean, like you think about I don't know. Like it's obviously a ways off, but you think about like the Terminator movies, how they had those copters in there, like you start to kind of like your mind wanders a little bit, It's like, I mean, eventually, like they already have drones bombing people, so why would it stop there?
Yeah.
So
yes, Cyberdyne Systems is not that far off, right?
Yeah.
And the what's the network called in the Terminator?
That is Skynet. That is Skynet.
Skynet, yes, Skynet is not too far around the corner.
It'll become self-aware.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
but scary. Yeah, these things they build intelligence into them so that they can, autonomously fly and land back. And next thing, all they need is I'm sure it's actually trivial to actually program them to go around and bomb people completely autonomously. It's just that they don't do it because of of the shit that would happen. But it's it's just a simple firmware mod.
I don't think it's that simple. I mean, like if you look at
think so? Everything's in place though.
Well, yes, sort of.
They can detect threats and go, and you just need the threat to be past a certain threshold, and then they go, right, that's a threat I need to bomb, and boom.
Well,
so in theory it's possible. So
I guess you're talking about the mods are trivial, but maybe I mean the actual underlying. I mean, I don't know if people out there who are listening understand, like, know what quadcopters are. They're like, it's like usually like a cross shape. There's a cross brace shape. It looks like a plus sign, and then on the end of each one, there's a pretty simple DC motor. They're powerful, but they're DC motors. And then there's a battery. There's a control board. It would be Arduino, Beagle board, whatever. And then there's a lot of sensors to know where you are. What your rotation is, all this other stuff.
Yep.
But like taking all that input, cranking on it, and then actually reacting to it. So if there's someone pushes the quadcopter, it has to recover. And like from a control system perspective, I think that's really a pretty impressive system.
It's really leading edge stuff. Yeah. It's pretty phenomenal. I love it. It does each of the motors actually have that pan tilt functionality like in a regular helicopter as well? I assume it does.
No, it doesn't.
So you've effectively got 4 helicopters, haven't you?
No, it's
on
actually
the end of each arm.
That's why it's not super expensive. Because
because it's just a fixed DC motor on the end of each arm.
Exactly.
So there's no armature to pull to actually to actually move the blades, tilt the blades.
Exactly. The way that you do motion is you speed up one blade or another.
One blade or another, yep.
And then you can rotate. You can. I mean, if you increase the speed of the motor, that'll make the thing go higher. If you decrease the RPM, it'll go lower. If you just decrease 2 of them, it'll tilt one way. And you can do lots of different things. So, but it's actually that's why it's a lot cheap. That's why it's possible, because the stuff you were talking about, the the blade rotation, that stuff gets really expensive.
That's all very advanced hydraulic, interconnect mechanisms and all that sort of stuff. So
Right, exactly.
yeah, not hydraulics, but little armatures that go up and down and tilt the blades and do all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's why the standard remote control helicopters, like the really good ones,
Right.
the really pro ones, are quite complex and
expensive.
and expensive. Yeah. But these little quadcopters, if you can just put 4 DC motors on a cross-shaped arm, and
Yeah.
But I guess it's all in the type of motor. It's got to be a certain power to weight ratio, and
Exactly.
the blades have to be a certain, the blades have to have a certain efficiency. Otherwise, I built a little helicopter when I was a kid with a motor, and it got off the ground, but barely,
nice.
so it could hover around and stuff like that. But because it was a big heavy motor and the blade, I didn't know about designing aerodynamic blades and efficient blades, so I just sort of it's just sort of mucked around with it. I was melting and bending plastic and stuff like that,
Nice.
trying to get the blades. I probably wasn't even 10 at that stage or something. And
that's impressive.
and that was fun. But it didn't get very high or far because I just used a standard big heavy hobby motor and just started whacking blades on until it got off the ground.
Hey, well,
kind of thing.
If you got it off the ground, that's still pretty impressive, I think. I mean,
It's still good. It worked.
Yeah.
In fact, I did it with sticks. The ice cream sticks at first. I managed to get it slightly off the ground just with ice cream sticks. And
That
then
must
I
have been a
realized,
pretty
I
beefy
should
motor.
actually bend some plastic, so I get some plastic thing and I, flame and I get a flame and I bend the plastic and it melts and sets back into a position. And I was able to actually make my own blades out of that. So,
wow.
yeah. God, that brings back memories. Jeez. that was 30, almost 30 years ago now. So,
Wow.
God help me.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's pretty cool, man. I've only seen them online, and if you've never seen the videos online, go check them out. There's so many good. I think I've talked to them on the show before. I mean, they'll blow your mind. I mean, especially if you and I think I had asked you last time about control systems. I mean, if I do some control system stuff, and you learn about that, and it gets intense so fast. I'm not sure how much the math works its way into a quadcopter, and the programming of it, but if you actually do the math on that stuff, it gets pretty intense. So I am very impressed.
It could, or but you probably don't have to do the math to actually do it. You can do it by trial and error and experimentation and stuff like that if you want. So,
right, and you overspec stuff.
Yeah, so you can know nothing about any math except
Yeah.
above Ohm's law, and you could still, design and develop your own quadcopter, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But if you really want to get into I'm sure you could write a PhD thesis on how those things work. It's,
I think they are.
It's that complex.
I think that's the video that we're going to link. I think those guys, they're from
right.
UPenn.
Is it? Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Oh, right, because they're from some uni, aren't they? So,
Yeah,
they're probably
Pennsylvania.
some grad students doing some master's or PhD or
Exactly.
something like that. Right.
Right, and that's the nice thing. I mean, it's just, that's the best thing about open source hardware in general is you kind of just don't have to, you still have to worry about it, but you don't have to go out and design it. I think about starting up senior kind of project stuff. I did a senior project, and we didn't even get to the hardware phase because you only have a semester. But if you have a platform to start with, there's some stuff, but you're going to be able to focus on improving one thing, and then you can even feed it back to the community, which is also very nice.
Exactly. Well, I saw that video, and I think at the end on the credits they had that they just bought their quadcopter from such and such. I don't know who
it was a German
but
company.
obviously, they didn't build it themselves. I think they just went and bought it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all of their all their stuff, their entire thing is just in the firmware to actually drive it.
Right.
All their intelligence and stuff like that is all. Yeah, I don't think they actually did much hardware there. So as you said, you can just get these open source hardware platforms and just build stuff around it.
Yeah, and it's great.
great.
Like we've talked about, I'm going to that conference on Thursday, so I don't know if I'll get to talk to anyone cool like the Chris Andersons of them, but definitely
Do try.
impressed with everything about it. So I've already looked at the schedule, and I'm just I'm afraid to go. I'm hey, I do a radio show with Dave.
Well, maybe they've heard of me. I don't know. Mention me.
Oh yeah.
They'll
Name
go,
drop.
"Huh? Who's
Name
him?
drop.
Who's
Drop
that
Dave,
guy?
Dave Jones. Hey, do you know this
Right.
this crazy dude?
This crazy Australian dude who wears tinfoil hats.
Tinfoil hats. That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
What else have we got on the list today?
Oh, we got a lot of stuff. Well, you said. Well, I said
I don't think we've covered anything we've got
we
on the
haven't.
list.
It's
have
like
we?
20 minutes in. We're really.
And we're just ranting randomly.
Yeah.
Oh no,
This
we
is
did have no, we had the
Truly
Ben
off
Heck
the cuff.
thing.
I mean, it's off the cuff today.
Ballsy recruiters. You wanted to rant about recruiters.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I got a piece of mail the other day. I mean, I think this happens no matter what. Like, I've only been in the industry like 5 years or so, and I get calls sometimes. But for the first time ever, the other day, I got a piece of like snail mail.
Yep.
And then it said, "Hey, we're from this executive recruiter firm, and we'd love you to look, like be considered for this job." And I open it up, and I'm like, I can't do this. And they're just spamming. Like,
Of course they are.
It's ridiculous.
But they're doing it the expensive way.
I know. Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I'd prefer a phone call. I think, because I can just ignore it if I really want to. I know when recruiters are calling. I have caller ID. If I don't recognize your number, you're either a magazine or you're a recruiter. And if your number's blocked, you're probably a magazine. So otherwise, you're a recruiter. Simple. I don't get that many calls these days because the economy's not that great, and or maybe they just know my game and they don't want to hire me. But I mean,
so this was actually snail mail. This was real letter.
A piece of paper, yeah.
A piece of tree, a piece of dead tree.
I have never seen that before. And like, it's bad enough that, they had no inclination to even look at who I was and what I...
Oh, of course they didn't. No, they just mailed that out to 20,000 people. They bought, because you can buy these lists.
Yeah.
You can buy lists of people in certain industries and from certain job recruiters as well. There's companies that sell job recruiting contacts.
That's ridiculous.
So you just have to buy it, mail it out, but the thing is, it works on statistics. So they will get 0.1% of people back, and they will actually make money out of that. They'll make a living from that. So it most likely works for them. Just don't be the 0.1% idiot who actually goes back to them, unless the job happens to be absolutely perfect in what you're looking for. Which
and that's the problem,
is fine,
right? Because for someone
it's almost certainly not.
Right. Well, that's the problem. I mean, like, I've gotten a call before, and they were looking for a mechanical engineer, and I'm like, seriously, mechanical? Like, did you even stop? Yeah. And the problem is they go on like sites like LinkedIn, and if anyone out there listening doesn't know it, I mean, because we have a lot of hobbyists that listen, like LinkedIn is good. It's good for quasi networking. It's not great. I mean, you can connect with people on there. It's more like a directory now. It's kind of the real basis of it. And it's like, she was searching for manufacturing something, and I've done manufacturing stuff before. And she's like, "Oh, well, can you do like CAD drawings and machine shop stuff?" And I'm like, did you even read anything else? Like,
no, exactly. No, they don't is the answer. I know it pisses me off too. But I don't know if I've mentioned this on the Amp Hour or not. But I've mentioned it on my blog. I did a blog rant on it. One of my drive time. No, it wasn't a drive time rant. But about how I've had these recruiting companies call me up and not offer me a job. They don't want that. They want my advice.
Really?
Yes, they want my advice on a particular job and who would be suitable for it. As in, not a particular person, but what type of person, because they don't know anything about the industry. There's some dumbass recruiting company, know nothing about engineering,
right?
And they just go, right, we've got this, what does PCB design mean? Who should we be looking for?
Really?
Yeah, so I've done a rant on that. So
that's ridiculous.
It's a fun one. So if you love me ranting on that sort of stuff, I won't duplicate it
right,
here.
We'll try and find a link.
They're the kind of phone calls I get. For some reason I'm marked down as this guy will help you out. You've
been too nice at one point.
Oh, I've been too nice at one point by helping them out. Because I've always got an opinion on everything. So
wait.
If they ask, I'll generally.
Dave Jones has an opinion.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Wow, I can make a show out of that.
Weird.
Anyway, the bastards. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. Well,
yep.
I guess it's nice that they're calling again. I mean, it's probably a good sign for the economy. So that's kind of a bonus, but
yeah,
I guess it's just something to live with.
Yep. Anyway, so if any recruiters call me anymore, I will now, my thing is I will now say, oh, look, I've got this great advice for you. I'll send you this link to the video I've done, and it'll be the video ranting and calling them a dickhead. So I will actually email them the link to my video calling them a dickhead.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
I have a similar thing for, I don't know if I should put this on the air, but when magazines call me, so I took over this guy's job a couple years ago now, but I get calls from magazines still from he loved magazines, so he got tons of them, and I don't want them at all.
Right.
And I tried telling him to take me off the list, and I'm like, it just didn't work. So I came up with I started doing like Seinfeld kind of things, or I was like, like doing, you want me to call you at home, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
That I stopped doing that even. I just say, oh, he doesn't work here, or he has a different number. Can I transfer you? And I'll put him on hold, and then I'll just wait and see how long they hang on. And I think the maximum,
and just waste their time.
I think they got up to 5 minutes, and they.
Oh, really?
It dropped off after. I mean, like they started to cut off calling me. But that if you have problems with magazines, here's the way to go. So if E-Times, EDN, anybody is mailing you magazines, even though you tell them you don't want them anymore, that's how you do it. You say, because I mean, and it's not even the magazines that are doing it; it's these call centers, and they just go through their lists. And that's how you really get the message across. You say, hey, let me transfer you. And you just put them on hold. And they'll get the message eventually.
Exactly. Well, I've got a friend of mine who, if he gets marketing calls at home, he goes, and they say, can I speak to the head of the household? He goes, certainly, just wait a minute. And he actually puts his 2 or 3 year old on the phone. And then they just talk to them for like half an hour and waste their time. It's amazing. So
that's
just
awesome.
Put them on and the 2 year old just has great fun.
They're like, bah, 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 bah. Yeah.
Or I think they're 4 or 5 now, so that they can really talk.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's funny to see how long they'll actually hold on and wait, so you waste their time.
That is a skill to have for the ages. You need to know how to deal with, regardless of if you're in electronics or not. You need to know that stuff. So that's great.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Well, we've got some news.
Yes.
There's a huge expo. There's the Electronica Expo in Germany. It's in Munich on the November 9th to 12th.
Not the best time to be in Germany, I gotta say. That's a little cold.
Oh, I've been to Germany in just before Christmas in December, and it was lovely. I was up in Hamburg, but
really?
I think I hit some global warming heat wave. Yeah, I was walking around in shorts and a t-shirt, or maybe I was just nuts. But
You
thought
you were still in Australia?
It was very good. But it certainly gets cold. Anyway, it's down in the south part of Germany, down in Munich. But I don't know if you've seen the stats on this, but there are 2,700 exhibitors. This is from, I think it's every 2 years. This is the stats from the 2008 one. 2,700 exhibitors, 73,000 visitors through the doors, 12 different halls. That's incredible. And 720 journalists covered it.
That's intense. That's a lot of people.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And I've heard people because our company has a stand there, and I've heard people who've been there, and they just say, you can't possibly walk around it in the 3 or 4 days it's on, let alone visit every stand.
Yeah.
It's that huge.
Wow. That's intense.
So, yeah.
Are you going to try to go?
I am. Yeah, I'm trying to go. I'm trying to organise for someone to pay for my ticket to send me there. So hopefully, I'm working on that. So
all right,
we'll see if it comes through.
If they want a full blown amp hour there, I mean, I might be able to make it there. I don't mind going to Germany.
Yeah.
I have a passport.
Well,
all right.
I've got to have passport. We'll
travel.
Blog, yes.
Yeah. We'll accept gratuitous tips.
I'll do it for the cost of an airfare.
Yeah, right. That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome.
I've never been to Europe, so.
Okay. It's Germany's an interesting place. It's very nice. Yeah. It's I'd love to go back there. I have a lot of viewers in Germany, so hello everyone in Germany.
Hopefully they're listening. Do you know any German? Do you speak German with an Australian accent? That would be
Nine.
Nine. Is that what you just said? Did you say nine?
Nine. Oh, nine. I'm not sure. See, I can't even pronounce it. I don't even try. I just suck at it. I tried to do it on my blog where I reviewed the German multimeter, and
rough.
I'm sure it come across absolutely hilarious. I cannot do. I cannot do foreign languages or accents. No, it's not in my makeup.
Well, if you go, I hope you go, and maybe I'll be talking to you in a couple months' time from a hotel room in Germany.
That'd be awesome. Well, yeah, I'm off to the US in under 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks.
All right.
So yeah, so I don't know. We might have to skip it for a week because I'll be on holiday then. I'm not sure if the wife will want me to do the Amp Hour radio show while we're actually in the middle of holidays.
Oh,
I don't know. We might have to film it before we might have to record it before we go, and then
maybe.
and then just maybe upload it for that week or something. So it might be a fake Amp Hour,
right? Yeah,
not live, as this one is live, isn't it?
Sort of.
Well,
sort of
kinda,
live.
not really. Well, it goes
live.
up the same day,
right?
Usually, which is pretty live-ish. I guess.
Live-ish. Yeah. That's good. I like that.
But I'm off, and I scored Big Bang tickets.
You did.
I got up. I'm a bit bleary-eyed this morning because I stayed up to 2 a.m. in the 1:30 a.m. or something in the morning this morning to get Big Bang tickets.
That is awesome.
I scored them.
That is awesome.
And the server was down. It was crashed. So all these nerds have written all these scripts, I'm sure, to try and get on the website to get their free tickets.
You did it with old-fashioned clicking, huh?
I did old-fashioned clicking, yeah. I'm not one of these script kiddies.
Well, I like scripts.
Yeah, but we finally got through, and it sold out in like 10 minutes, but we managed to get... managed to score
great.
2 tickets.
Now,
so we're going to now plan our holiday around that, which is crazy. So
you can't talk about... So you're going to see an episode. You can't tell us what it is, though.
No, I won't be able to. I'm sure there's some confident, and I'm not allowed to take any recording devices in there. No mobile phones, nothing. So
maybe you can meet them. Maybe you can get some pictures at least. Maybe you can like afterwards. I don't know if they do like photo shoots with the cast.
Yeah. Well, you're not allowed to take your stuff in there. So
right.
maybe afterwards, you can bring your camera, but leave it outside in a bag or something with a tag in the cloakroom or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm not sure how that works. But they tell you, yes, do not bring anything, otherwise, you'll be shot or something.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, that'll be cool because I love Big Bang Theory. If you're into electronics, if you haven't watched the Big Bang Theory, you're gonna love it.
Right.
I guarantee it. It's just
it's physics, but
I don't know if it's just these nerdy and there's a token engineer in there, Howard Wolowitz.
I know they make fun of him all the time.
Yeah, because he's only got a master's,
right, only a master's,
and everyone else has PhDs.
Yeah, but then he holds it over their head when they're trying to do something. When they're actually trying to do something, he always holds it over their head.
Do something practical. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a great show. So I'm stoked this morning. I'm still on a high.
That's great.
Woo-hoo, Big Bang tickets.
I'm glad you're going. Well, hopefully once the episode comes out, you can talk more about it. But
yeah, so
nice, man. So we're at half hour, and we haven't even gotten into discussion stuff yet.
Half hour already.
Yeah, we're at half an hour. Jeez.
All right, what do we got?
Well, not much actually.
Right. There's a forum. John Chandler on the forum. Hi, John. You were talking about absolute maximum ratings on components, and I'm not sure what his exact question. I think he was just wanted people to talk about it. And because there's all these, hackers and hobbyists out there who are overclocking these chips. They'll have a PIC chip which might be rated to an absolute voltage of 6.5 volts or something, and then they'll, run it off 9 volts and it still works or something like that. And,
really?
Yeah. Well,
you're not going to get any money back for that, that's for sure.
Well, the answer for that is it's a really, really bad idea to exceed the absolute maximum ratings of components because they're not designed to survive outside of those. But there's probably components like LEDs and things like that will work outside of their absolute maximum ratings. You'll just shorten their life.
Yeah, exactly. So he's talking about driving it straight without a resistor kind of thing. Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah, it can exceed the maximum current, and so it's one of those things that there's a few components where those absolute maximum ratings are based on not the actual absolute maximum rating, but based on an expected lifetime of that component.
Right.
So you can actually push it and go over, but you really have to know what you're doing, and if you're certainly going to do it in a product.
What you're doing, you're not doing it at all. I think. Yeah.
Well, sometimes you have to.
Like what, though? Like temperature or current? Or what are you talking about?
Occasionally the only way to do something might be to, exceed the absolute maximum rating of something.
Yeah, but you can switch parts too. I mean, like there's always other options.
Well, you can, but if it's some obscure part and only that part's going to do the job, and you just have to drive it a little bit more,
but that's such a corner case too, you know.
Thing.
That's a corner case. I think that's to the point where like if you say that and then someone's like, oh hey, I tried it with this part and it worked for a little bit, but then it blew up. It's like it's not even worth saying that then, you know.
Well, that's the thing. You wouldn't do it into a proper product. You wouldn't do it in a commercial product. But if you're doing a one-off thing, a test jig or something, you just have to get it working that day, and you're not going to wait a week for another part. You're going to, overspec that thing and try and get it working probably. But it's a bad thing to do. So
he's not talking about like power ratings on like a FET, was he? Because like a lot of times there will be that curve where like you can have, you might be able to handle like 10 watts of power and dissipate it. And it can do 100 watts, but it'll can only do it for like, a millisecond.
Yeah, exactly. It'll have a peak pulse power, and you can exceed those figures, and it will generally survive. But I mean,
for a couple times,
but don't be surprised if it does fail.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah, they test all that stuff. And it shortens,
as I mentioned in one of my, I think the heatsink blog, I mentioned that, as you increase the temperature of a component, its lifetime falls a square or something. It's, it falls drastically with increased temperature. So if you're talking about a power FET or something and you're over, driving it above its maximum temperature rating, then, well, it'll probably continue to work, but it's going to have a short life. So... Yes, kiddies.
And that's actually a big market right now too, because like, with all the LED lighting stuff coming online, they'll have these optimum driving points for LEDs where, LEDs can work over a really wide range because once you get past that voltage drop, you're going to be dumping some amount of current through there. But you need to also balance like, the total power, the heat is dissipating and everything like that. If it's dissipating 5 watts and then you go down to 2.5 watts, you might see that lifetime increase that actually makes it worth it for you, because so say your wall switch is actually supplying DC, most of them don't, but say it is, if you can optimize that so that you're getting the optimum power to the LED without dissipating as much heat, you're going to save however many years, and it's going to be years with LEDs of life.
Exactly.
So
well, and that's the difference between the good brands, the good well-designed brands, and the cheap Chinese One Hung Lo brand LED lights. If you buy those those $5 ones on eBay, those LED replacement lamps, they're almost certain to be overspec'd in some way, and they're going to have a short life. But if you get a proper big name manufacturer, well designed, they're going to underspec it because they know that they know about the life versus temperature and power and all that sort of stuff. So they do deliberately underspec them to get a much longer life.
Yeah.
So don't buy don't be surprised when your cheap eBay $5 LED replacement light dies in 6 months.
Yeah.
You think, LEDs last forever. No, they don't. They life is dependent upon temperature.
Yep.
So,
yeah, and that's big money. I mean, and that's big money too. From like, so if you're out there and you're listening and you're looking for job stuff, I mean, like that's something to look at, because there's going to be tons of LED stuff coming online still, and you might think it's boring. Oh, well, it's not that hard to turn on an LED. No, it's not. But doing it right every time and not destroying the lifetime is important.
Absolutely. And building in overload protection, surge protection, especially if it's connected to the mains and stuff like that. Oh, there's an art in doing that, and in actually producing a solid, reliable actual product, final product on the market.
Yeah.
So don't underestimate that at all. It's actually not that easy to do.
Yeah.
Especially, and it's not just the LED either. It's the driving electronics as well, to actually get, if like the LED might have a lifetime of 100,000 hours or something, but can you design electronics to match that?
Oh yeah.
Especially when you're trying to drive it from the mains and you've got, you've got capacitors, all sorts, and you've got to survive surges and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And you've got switch modes, and you need to know how to design circuitry for long MTBF, or mean time between failure, for the kiddies out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the design part of it's really fun, but the actual testing for MTBF gets kind of boring. I I really don't like that as much.
Yeah,
but.
it does. It's not. Well, it depends what you're doing. Sometimes, yeah, you're whacking. I've whacked things in a thermal chamber and left them there for a month. And,
Right. Well, yeah.
It's not that
But
exciting.
even going over the data, it's tough on the testing side. But designing for that, you can encounter some interesting design problems that you wouldn't have had to think of otherwise. And even like for long life stuff, I mean, you think about like electrolytic capacitors. If they're in a high heat environment, and you're gonna leave them there for a long time.
They'll die in 1,000 hours.
Yeah, exactly. They're not gonna last that amount of time. So you got to think of other situations, other options for those. So there's a lot of cool design problems within that, just because you need long life.
Exactly. And then, you might decide to replace those capacitors with ceramic capacitors you think might have a longer life. But then to get those in high values, they're highly susceptible to, they're not only very expensive, they're highly susceptible to stress. Yeah. So if you've got these mounted on a board in a high vibration environment, you can be in, deep trouble. So it's, there's lots of things to consider for designing high lifetime circuitry. So
it'll be interesting seeing that play out too. I mean, we've kind of watched. I mean, we talked about the hobbyist movement, kind of like a lot of it is getting started and stuff, and a lot of our listeners are hobbyists. But I think that's going to even evolve, because you're going to see people making more and more stuff at home, and then they're going to want to, they're going to be sick of replacing their power modules in their wall every year if they're starting to make their own stuff. And so they're going to start getting into it too. So it's actually something that a lot of people should care about, is, looking at these kind of decisions and maybe even paying a little more, which sounds stupid, but that can often pay off in the long term because you don't have to replace it.
It can pay off. You pay 5 times the price for a LED light replacement, but it'll last 10 times longer than one of the One Hung Low brand ones. So, it can definitely pay off.
Do you always call them one hung? Where does that name? Where does that come from?
One Hung Low. One Hung Low. It's a play on words, and I won't describe what it refers to because it's a bit rude.
Right.
So,
it makes an Aussie blush, huh?
Right. Oh, not quite.
And
but
that's bad. Well, I appreciate that, so we don't get rated R over here in the U.S. or whatever it would be.
Right.
So I actually was at a power seminar the other day. I mean, we talking about power today. I was at a seminar the other day. Have you ever looked at like any of the digital power stuff before?
Not really. Power's not really my area, power control and all that stuff. Yeah. I'm a microelectronics guy, really.
Oh, okay.
Digital power. Yeah, digital power control.
It's interesting because, I mean, like, you look at like basically what a switcher that you've looked at on your video blog before, basically what that thing's doing. And the internals of it are, pretty complicated, but if you want to like pull all that stuff out and just drive a push-pull controller, all you really need for that is a PWM, and a lot of micros can do that kind of thing. And so I saw some stuff. I mean, I always hear about it from vendors and stuff, and they love that. They want to throw
They love motor control. You go to the microchip website, and they'll have 20 million application notes for motor control.
No, power control.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Well, still
push-pull.
For 3-phase power control and all sorts of things like that. Yeah, they love doing that.
And so push-pull controller...
Yeah. Well, it's a huge market.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. But push-pull controller, for people that don't know, it's basically, you have 2 transistors, usually an N-type on the top and a P-type on the bottom, and you just flip it high and low, and then the top one turns on, the bottom turns on, top one turns on, bottom turns on. And basically in that way you can transfer power through a transformer or an inductor, and then you can step it up, step it down, and then you can rectify it on the other side. And then that's how you basically can transfer power, and there's different efficiencies and everything. Watch Dave's video blog about that. He explains a lot better than I'd be able to do it here.
That's only a specific start. But there are specific chips for that. There are actually specific controller chips designed just to drive actual discrete controllers like that.
Right.
There's a chip for almost everything for one of those power control applications.
Yeah. Well, what I was talking about though is like, so there are very specific chips, but
you can integrate it into microcontrollers and things like that if you happen to have a micro in your product. But if you're just using a micro to do that, well, and that's its only job, well, that might be deemed to be a bit silly because there are purpose-designed chips for that.
Well, the thing I was looking at is because it was talking about like having 10 rails or something like that, to the point where you have to buy a crap load of chips, and I had never really thought about it before. And I mean, it was a cool session. I had never really done this stuff before, so it was really new to me, and it's interesting. But I just wonder about where it's going to go, and if it's worth taking the time to actually learn it. Because when you're programming a micro yourself, and you have to actually control when one transistor is turning on versus the other one, there's some legit time you have to put into learning that, and I'm not sure if I have to.
There's lots of theory involved, and that's exactly what I'm saying. You can build it into microcontrollers and stuff, but yeah, you've got to know the theory, and there's lots of, and you really have to test it thoroughly and do all sorts of things, and it can get hideously complex. That's why there's example code out there, and there's app notes, and they've got power control circuitry built into some micros, I think.
Yeah.
To handle some of the more, to handle some aspects of it, so you don't have to do it in code. You can actually, there is like a hardware, digital power control module in there or something like that. Yeah, which sort of helps out. So you just feed it some data, and it sort of takes care of it for you. But,
well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like Linear Tech wants me to buy $3 controllers every time I need to put power on a board. But what I'm asking, can I use a 65-cent microcontroller and learn how to do it myself? And well, you can. I did that in my watch. I mean, it's a very simple application. When I designed my scientific calculator watch, it's got a voltage doubler in there that just uses a PWM output and a couple of diodes, and I got my voltage doubler to drive the LCD. Oh, nice.
So I didn't need to get a separate voltage doubler chip like a 7660 or something like that.
Yeah.
I just use the micro, and I save myself 20 cents or something.
Right, and that can be a big deal in a lot of people's design, or even if you just want to learn it too. I mean, like, there's some cool stuff in there. So, anyways,
absolutely,
I thought it was cool. I don't know if we're gonna see more of that. This seminar I went to seemed to kind of point that way, and they like kind of how reconfigurable it was, and I had just never really thought about it before, so I wanted to be sure I brought it up here. Not
well, I think most of the major semiconductor manufacturers, the market's getting so big for digital power control and all that sort of stuff, and they lump in motor control as well and all sorts of things. Right. They actually report revenue from that as a separate market segment.
Oh, really? Oh,
I think TI do it, and Maxim, and quite a lot of manufacturers do it. Even I think even Atmel, is it Atmel or Microchip, I think, have, they've got power control products, and they actually report that as a separate market because it's a huge market.
Oh yeah, and it's going to get bigger too.
Massive.
I mean, because throwing a linear regulator on there isn't really an option anymore. Like with new like power standards and everything, you hear about like like Power Star. Is that what it is? Energy Star. That's what it is. Energy Star compliance stuff. That's starting to get crazy, and is that over in Australia too?
Yep, we've got the Energy Star requirement here. All sorts of plug packs and products must meet that requirement. But there's so many because the microcontrollers, microprocessors, FPGAs and stuff like that are getting so complex. Some of them need like 4 or 5 power rails. It's crazy. They need like a 1 volt for the core or 1.1 volt for the core. They need a 1.8 volt for the high speed transceivers. They need a 2.5 for something else, and they need a 3.3 for the I/O. And then if you need 5 volt I/O, you need that as well, and like it's crazy.
Yeah,
some of these things. I've designed products with 7 and 8, 7, 8 or more actual
like rails,
actual power rails in it.
Wow,
it's just nuts. And and that's just the lower end of what you can get. If you need plus minus 5, plus minus 12, plus minus 9, plus minus 15, some designs use, plus all those smaller ones I mentioned.
Right,
it's
and
not
if
unusual to have a dozen or more.
Right,
rails.
And if you have to do high power too, you have to start worrying about heat. You have to start worrying about noise. You have to tons of stuff. It gets crazy. And all of that. You think about like how you start out, right? So if you're starting out and you're just using an Arduino board, those are pretty well set up where it's you plug in a 5 volt regulator off the wall power. And then or I don't know if it probably is up at 6 or so, and then you just linearly regulate it down to 5, and that's good. But you don't always get to do that with FPGAs and all the other crazy stuff that's out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
I never knew. I mean, DDR. I just did some DDR probably a year or two ago, and I never realized that with DDR you actually have to use a top rail. So if it's like a 2.5 volt DDR, I think that was DDR1 was that. you actually have to have a voltage at half that. That's how it works. Is DDR
Yeah, exactly.
has the half voltage line, and then it double clocks it basically using the.
And there's specific chips to actually do that as well.
Yeah, there's some.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean they're cheap because they're very plentiful, but I mean like.
Yeah.
If you have to put multiple memories on your board or something, it starts to get expensive again. So
it adds up. Yeah, all this complexity.
So go hug your power engineer. If you have a power engineer at your company or you know one, go hug him and say,
"Oh yes,
thank you very much."
Or yes, you can actually you can walk up to them and do that. You can actually howl down to them. We are not worthy. We are not worthy.
Mate,
the Wayne's World kind of.
Right. You could do that, but yeah. I mean, it's
yes, power engineers there.
Yeah. Not gonna do much with that power, that's for sure.
No, exactly. And some of the products I've worked on, it's you spend half your design time just getting the efficiencies of all your power rails right.
Right. Yeah.
And
then that translates into heat again and everything. So.
Yeah.
It was interesting at this seminar I went to. They were actually talking about, I mean, a lot of the technical knowledge of transformer construction. This is talking about transformer construction as well. And like I think I mentioned last time or the time before, people, if you're a younger engineer and you're listening to this, there is a limited supply of people that know how to do transformers anymore. I mean, you think about. I mean, Dave, you probably did EM type electromagnetic kind of stuff in school, right? Because I know I did.
Yep.
But I never got deep into
boring as batshit, wasn't it?
Well, it is, but that's at the abstract like math level, right? When you're actually doing transformers,
exactly.
Like there's like pros out there that'll wind transformers by hand, with magnetic wire, and they'll do, they'll be doing like by hand. It's almost like the crossover between electrical and mechanical stuff because you're winding these things by hand and you're dealing with magnetics and there's like crazy, Maxwell's equations kind of stuff. And it gets so intense and there's so few people out there, not so few, but an increasingly fewer number of people out there that can do this stuff. So if you like that...
And it isn't just building them either. It's actually testing them and actually characterizing them as well is a hell of a lot of work.
Right.
And you really have to know what you're doing.
Right.
So.
And switchers are great. I mean, don't get me wrong. And a lot of transformers go into switchers, even like inductors go into switchers. But the fact is, switchers are noisy. There is innate noise to putting pulses through a system. And that's basically what switchers are. And if you need a quiet system, and a lot of systems do, you need transformers. And so if you're a younger engineer, learn your transformers because I'm just learning them now, and it's intense. And
and not just quiet in the electrical sense, but quiet in the mechanical sense as well, because transformers can hum and vibrate and do all sorts of weird stuff. So it's not just quiet on the noise level, but on the physical, So, transform, if you've heard like a squeal coming from your computer monitor or something, that's likely one of the transformers in there.
Well, that's an argument against transformers,
you have to know how to do that sort of stuff too.
But I guess that's probably bad design. I mean, that's probably, some mass production.
It's poor design.
That's some mass production thing in China where, they're cranking out 1 million transformers a month. And
from the One Hung Lo factory, yes.
One Hung Lo, right? And
One Hung Lo, yeah.
and they're just not high quality either because they were designed that way in the beginning, or maybe it's just a manufacturing thing. But it's like a big deal, and like that gets fed through the customers. And I get pissed off by those noises. I get freaked out by them sometimes. I think things are going to blow up.
Yeah, exactly. We actually at work we had one. Last month, all of a sudden this high pitched it actually failed. It wasn't, all of a sudden somebody's monitor just failed and they weren't at their desk. And this noise, just this weird, and it was modulated and all sorts of stuff. And everyone's just walking around trying to pinpoint it because we couldn't. It took us about 10 minutes to pinpoint where it was coming from.
Yeah.
And it was coming from someone's Dell monitor.
Wow.
The power supply had just gone nuts in there, and God, it bugged everyone on the whole level. It was so loud. It's incredible.
Maybe you've done videos of exploding capacitors, right?
Yep.
Maybe you should get some old transformers and make those fail.
And do that sort of stuff. Yeah.
You could just make little cuts in the transformer wire and see them short together and see what happens.
Yeah, well, I've done one on the video that I did with Doug. I had
you
this
blew one up?
like large coil, and I hooked it up, and I generated all the sparks from the coil and
I
everything.
didn't see
That
that
was
one.
very cool, and I captured it in slow-mo. So
Okay, all right,
that's
cool.
in one of my.
I'll have to go back and watch
Yep.
that.
Absolutely. I don't know which number it is. I don't keep track of numbers. I've done too many shows.
Yeah,
Far too many.
Plus 100 at least, right?
Yeah, and what's this? Is this number 8 or
We're
9?
We're 9. Yeah,
Show number 9. Oh, yes, it's down on the spreadsheet here.
that's
there you
right.
go.
Yeah, chugging
Number
along.
9.
Chugging along.
Isn't that scary?
Yeah,
Ooh,
it's-
double digits next.
Oh yeah,
Have
well,
to celebrate.
we will have to celebrate. Maybe we'll something with tinfoil hats. I don't know.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That'll really work on
audio,
via
yeah.
radio. Yeah.
Yeah, we can like crunch them into the microphone.
Right.
So,
Well, on that note, I think we should probably call it quits.
are we quits? Oh, sad.
Yep. I think it's pretty close to our amp hour.
Oh.
Sorry, Chris. I know you just want to rant. You just want to keep on doing it.
I thought we started at 5 after,
Oh
not
no!
5 till.
One more quick rant. I've got to do it.
Okay.
The crap EDN design circuits idea.
Yeah, what
Did
was
you see
it?
that?
I looked at it. I didn't see what the.
It was basically, they pay 120, send in your circuit idea, they pay you $125. What it was, we'll actually put up a link,
Yeah.
and it was a 7-segment LED display hooked up to a micro, and they gave like the table to drive the segment so you can avoid using a BCD to 7-segment decoder IC. Well, no shit, Sherlock. People have been doing that for
I know.
40
How else would you do it,
years.
right? I mean, like.
Exactly.
It didn't seem like
You're not
much
going to
there.
use the external chip.
Yeah.
Well, you might use the external chip if you've only got 4 pins available, but if you've got the 8 pins, you avoid using. But yeah, they paid this dude 120, so they're pretty desperate for
Yeah,
design
so
ideas.
I guess if
EDN.
people are listening, you should, and you actually have a design idea, you make a little bit of dough, but
Yeah,
depends if
$125 is not
you wanna throw
much.
it in.
And we did have another point there which led on to that, didn't we? Which was no, that's a follow-on point from that. We could probably cover it. We can probably go a minute over.
okay.
Or should we talk about this next time? Where there's these websites out there, some websites trying to get your ideas. They want you to send them your circuit ideas and they will publish it. I'm doing the quotes thing with my hands
right.
here.
Yeah, you
Publish
can't
it
see
for
those.
you for, $75 or $100 or something like that. And I think some of them even want actual rights to it.
Jeez.
So you're pissing away your rights for $75. It's crazy. And we probably should do that next time, which is the best way to publish your project.
Oh,
which,
okay, that's right,
we
that's
won't
right.
go into. We can talk for 10 or 20 minutes on that,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh,
So,
well, then publishing is.
so we'll definitely do
yeah.
that last time.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's
Yep.
that's good.
Yep. Excellent. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yes, thank you for listening. And
Yeah,
I'm in
hope you
Boston,
enjoyed
and I won't be here next week, but I'm
And
glad we got to do this.
Chris is in a hotel room in his boxer shorts, watching porn on the TV.
Hey,
and-
come on now, Dave, don't be spreading lies.
All right.
All right, well, we're gonna sign off the air now, and I'm gonna, yell at
Yep.
Dave. So
Put some clothes on. All right.
thanks for listening.
See you guys.
Bye.